If you are also how did you call it, the head of group relations? Director of group. What does it mean, this role? So what is it about?
Well, the Tavistock Institute has got a long history, of course, of developing group relations conferences, of which the most well-known is the Leicester Conference.
Okay.
The Tavistock has got a council, not staff.
Okay.
It's a council.
A charity council?
It's a charity trustees, they're called.
Trustees.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now they their job is to preserve the traditions and the work and promote it, not just to preserve it, but to promote the work of the Institute. Mm. So they have no objection, for instance, me and others over here, doing group relations work where the financial return is not good. It's not even visible sometimes. You do a piece of work, there's no financial return on it immediately or directly. Sometimes there's a return when people that we do work with elsewhere come to Leicester. So they come to Leicester and that's the return, you know.
Oh, I see, yes, yes.
But developing group relations literally means promoting, encouraging and developing, providing resources to group relations people in countries around the world. So I have worked with about 20 countries, helping them to promote Tavistock group relations conference work. So South Africa, Israel, Peru. This afternoon I'm seeing somebody from Brazil because they want to develop a link with the Tavistock. So that's part of my job. My job is to meet, to travel, to actually direct some conferences. When the conference institution in a country gets established and is strong enough and to run their own conferences, I might get invited to direct the conference for the first 2 or 3 years. Then after that I'll be the associate director to one of their people who's now director. Okay. And then after 4 or 5 years I'll drop away.
I see.
You see. And then that's part of my job.
What is group relations? What does it mean?
Group relations is the study of groups and the relationships between groups. And group, in our terms, here has to be clear, is not a small group of people in a room, 6 to 8 people in a room. A group can be an ethnic group, a professional group, a national group, a political group. It can be a work group, of course, in a company. But the concept of group is broader than just what you can see sitting in a room.
Could you say a few words around this historic perspective? How did it develop, this group relations work?
Group relations work developed out of working with organizations in consultancy and in research. Eric Miller, A.K. Rice, Harold Bridger, quite a number of people at that time developed the idea from psychoanalysis that you can apply analytic thinking and technique, particularly free association, interpretation, managing issues of authority and leadership. You can apply that to organizational and political theory. Or rather not apply, they can be married, they can be brought together. So the work that those pioneers did with organizations then led them to run seminars, workshops, which eventually metamorphosed into a conference. Of course, Leicester Conference happened for the first time in 1957, and it was The participants then were managers of local factories around Leicester.
Who was the first director? A.K. Rice?
I think it was A.K. Rice.
Yes.
Yeah, A.K. Rice was one of the first pioneers in this director role. And then, of course, the idea caught on, it spread, and people came from America, Margaret Rioch and her people, to learn from A.K. Rice, and then they established the first group relations conference in America. And in America it took on a slightly different path, because the people who were attracted to group relations were by and large mental health professionals. So they brought a very distinctive psychological, emotions-based approach to group relations work. Whereas in Britain, the emphasis was on organizational development and change. So organizational theory played a big part in the thinking here, and it still does, of course. And that's what I represent. I bring my organizational experience and my psychoanalytic experience. Elliot also brings both. But we bring a research model, an inquiring model of what's happening, why is it happening this way, what do people want to do to move forward. It doesn't have the model of pathology and normality. In other words, something is sick and you help it get better. That's not the model at the heart of the group relations philosophy. So it's more about learning and education as a main stance, and that's how it. And of course, the fact that most of these conferences take place inside, well, the Leicester conference certainly takes place inside an educational institution, underscores the fact that it is a learning and educational process rather than a therapeutic one.